Go edition of an esports breakdown. We have Sean with us again from Fantasy Alarm and Fantasy Degen. If you have not gotten a chance to check out his awesome content, head over to Fantasy Alarm. He's got map picks and breakdowns out every single day. How's it going, Sean?
Good, man. Good. Just kind of sweating this G2 match right now. I'm trying to see how it's going to build. Looks like we're about to get 3 maps, so be interesting to see how that third map goes, with it being Mirage.
Yeah. Do you think like I don't know if you call them big or BIG. I don't know how people. If it doesn't matter, but like, are they just like on this heater, or like are they actually like that good? Do you think? And they just haven't really been talked about.
I think they're good. They probably were kind of taken a little bit lightly when they first came in to the upper tier, because they hadn't really been playing a lot of big competition. But they came out, whooped up on FaZe pretty quick, made them look pretty bad. And I mean, FaZe had a couple of days off, had almost a week off. So I've been talking about that a lot lately with that rust factor. These teams, when they take a week or so or longer off, it just seems like they come back and they're rusty, man. They hadn't played, when these guys play, they play all the time. They practice all the time, and I'm sure they practice, in their off time. And you can tell the ones that really study and really practice a lot. But the better teams do. They're really a sound team. They played really well. I do think they played a little bit above their head against FaZe, and it's kind of showing a little bit here. G2 kind of picked them apart on their own map pick of Nuke in the first map. And then, of course, they're swapping here with Dust 2, giving them kind of the return of the favor. I do think they're a good team, though. I think they have some good young players. I think they're going to have a really good match tomorrow, and if they do, of course, get there. But
will they play tomorrow? Will they play tomorrow if they win, or is that?
I think a lot. I think they're not tomorrow. I think they would play
the next day.
They would play Friday, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, we will see how that finishes out, and then hopefully get a third map there. But we are going to go into our lineup builder here. First, we have a 3-game DreamHack slate again, and I'm going to first bring up our odds here. Currently, right now, we're not seeing any odds at Bovada for the FaZe and NIP game, and this is just on GG.bet. So I wouldn't always put a ton of stock into some of these smaller books just because they're not getting this, the same amount of, volume probably put towards it. But this is just a starting point. Navi coming in at -192, so almost a -200 favorite against the Mad Lions. FaZe coming in as a slight dog or almost a pick'em against NIP, and then Furia coming in at about -170 against 100 Thieves. So we'll just keep that in mind as we get to our builds and we'll go game by game here. So let's start out with Mad Lions and Navi, and we know kind of what we've been talking about on Twitter. Like, they finally got the prices that felt like more right today. Seeing Simple at 10-2 kind of makes me think that we might consistently get better pricing or more aggressive pricing at the top. Like it felt like a week ago we just saw Simple here at like 9,000 for some reason, So I think, again, you're going to see a little bit reduced ownership at 10-2, but he still should be really popular. So I know you like Mad Lions here. So where are you starting with the Mad Lions?
I'm not exactly loving Acor's price rate. He raised, it wasn't a big raise, but he did, they did bump it up after he had a pretty monstrous game. He was, I think, the next to last lowest price yesterday on yesterday's slate, or today, I'm sorry. I know we're talking about it today. He played really well. He's been playing really well, so I probably definitely will have him in there a little bit. Bubsky is pretty much, right now on, when I did my article earlier, he was kind of top 2, 1 or 2 on the maps that I feel like they'll play on. So Bubsky's obviously going to be in there, and I feel like Mad Lions, of course, will be a little bit underowned with the fact that Navi is the favorite here. Everybody loves Simple. He's going to have a lot of ownership, so you're probably going to see and we talked about electronics price going up a little bit as well. So that's going to take up quite a bit of salary right there with 10-2 and 8K. So I feel like, Mad Lions are probably going to come in a little bit underowned, and I really like that. And they're a dog. They've looked really good in their past couple of matches. Funnily or interestingly enough, Facilian actually comes in. I think it was the second map pit that I talked about, and I can't remember which one it was. Let me see here. Let me look. Was it Mirage, I believe? Might have been Dust 2. It's Dust 2. Asilian leads with a 1.24 rating on that one, 0.72 KPR, 122 impact, and a 76 ADR. I thought that was pretty interesting that he actually leads the team for that map. So I think that him being at the 5.2 could be an interesting value there as well. I think he's probably going to be one of my pivots away from, whenever I'm stacking. My top three will probably be Bubsky, Acor, and Asilian tomorrow for Mad. That's kind of where I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, and I think the problem here with Navi, like you said, a lot of people, especially from my perspective and more cash, will play simple, but it might be tough to play him and electronic just with electronic's price. But we do not have anybody. I mean, they are the biggest favorite on the slate, so I do think they will still garner ownership just regardless because people just will look at that. Yeah, Acor and Sush, and actually Sush kind of swapping down to be cheaper than Acor, where he's been, a lot closer to Bubsky on most of these slates, has been performing really well too. So I think a lot of those players are in play. All right, let's move on to NIP and FaZe. Let's look at NIP first. Again, obviously, pricing is still certainly favoring FaZe as the better team here. I don't know. Like, NIP looked pretty bad when they got rid of Lecro, and then they looked better the last couple games. So it's really tough to know, what NIP team we're going to get. But I think the price points here with like stacking Knock and Plopsky are super easy to stack with something else. So I don't think you're like investing too much to go after two players that can easily lead the server for both of their teams. So anybody other than Knock and Plopsky here you'd be considering for NIP?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about it in my article with, I feel like, they will go with Overpass. Simple fact that, today they kind of threw the curveball with Mirage on Fnatic and, or not, wasn't Fnatic, sorry, it was Vitality. But yeah, they threw the curveball, went with Mirage, where they, probably Vitality thought they would go Overpass. They ended up beating them pretty good on Mirage. Well, it just so happens that FaZe's best map is Mirage. So I highly doubt we'll see that. So I do think that they'll revert back to Overpass, and I'm pretty sure they played Overpass a couple times against FaZe already, and it was close matches. And Overpass is not one of FaZe's good map. So Twist leads them on Overpass. We saw him totally have a killer match the other day whenever they were down 5 or 6 rounds, came back to win that one. Forgot who they were playing now, but he just played lights out. Had a couple sick clutches and was just really working the AWP on that one. So he actually had a really good couple maps today, to be honest. He played really well. He's a guy that I might look at. In Hampus, I just don't think he's kind of came around a little bit lately. Today he led a couple. I think he was doing really well today at 4.6. I mean, it's not like we'll likely be looking at price hardcore, but I think he's going to be a major value at that price because I think he's coming around a little bit more. And now that he's played with the team a few more matches, he's starting to look a little bit better. And I think you can go a lot of ways here with NIP.
Yeah, I do expect this matchup probably to go 3 maps. I would assume probably. So on FaZe's side, we have Nico at 9.4. Before I totally build or make anything, he's not really one of my priorities just because of his price tag being so close to Simple, and I think Simple is just a far better play in terms of cash. Brokey getting a pretty big price increase. I think a lot of times when I'm considering Coldzera and Brokey, I'm usually just taking the cheaper of the two. And here it's usually more relatively close, like 500 to 800. And now with the $1,600 gap, I think it's pretty easy to get down to Coldzera if you're taking some of the FaZe players here. And then we have Bemis getting dumpster dive here down to the very bottom almost to 4,400. I think he was 5,800 last slate. Didn't look obviously nobody looked good against Big, but I do think 4,400, if you do feel confident FaZe bounce back here, I think, he's definitely viable. He's been playing better, getting more burst with the team. I don't know. I just have a feeling that FaZe feel pretty embarrassed about what happened yesterday and kind of try to bounce back in a lot better fashion tomorrow. So I do really like Coldzera for the price tag. He's probably my favorite point per dollar play here for FaZe. And you could even pair him up with Brokey. But and Nico maybe, but it would just have to depend on the builds. For me, it's just too close to Simple. So any other phase thoughts?
No, I think you kind of nailed it right there. I do think that Nico could maybe fly a bit under the radar, except just because of how they got smashed last match, which will be good in GPPs. But to be honest with you, I'm on NIP at the moment, so likely won't be having too much, but I will probably have some Nico. I do like Coldzera. I agree with your analysis there. I think he's just too cheap. And likely that would probably be my two plays right there is Nico and Coldzera. Probably not going to touch Bombus or Bemis or however you call it. I'd probably rather play Hampus for NIP at that price.
Yeah,
so that's
I do think you're right. Nico will go really underowned. Just
because everybody's going to go simple there.
Exactly. So it's tough to get, and that's what I like about the pricing. Now that simple is expensive enough, people won't be able to play both of them that easily. Let's go to the Furia side first of 100 Thieves. Furia coming in at about a -170 favorite. Pricing is a little bit higher on them than we've seen, but we still have Yuri down at 7,600, which I think will be a really appealing play for a lot of people. KS Serrato's been playing really well lately. We know Henny always just has that clutch upside with the AWP. He hangs out to the end of the map and he can just fire off some of those fantasy point rounds that are just amazing with the clutches or the 4 kills. So per usual for me, I'm considering the top 3 Furia. I think you can, we know Art has the upside, like he showed on Train. Was it, a couple matches ago? Like
he got the AWP going. Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah, and then I think you went to Inferno and, was like the worst on the team that map. But I mean, so you play that roller coaster with him.
He's boom or bust, that's for sure.
Yeah, so for me, I do really like Furia's price tags here. And again, if I'm comparing it to FaZe, I'd much rather pay 8,400 for KS Serrato than pay 86 for Brokey.
Right.
And then Yuri too, I would prefer to get up from, someone like Coldzera or even down from Electronic. Probably I'd prefer Yuri at that price tag as well. So any other Furia thoughts? I assume you kind of like some of the same players, but go ahead.
Yeah. That's basically it for me. I like the top 3 as well. I think Yuri's got a nice price tag. I'm with you on where you're at on that. I don't really have anything else. I don't really care much for Vinny, and Art would literally just be a GPP flyer, I think. So I'm with you on where you're at.
And I think my take a lot of times on these teams where the top 3 seem not that far apart in talent and production. Similar to G2 today, you have Kenny S, Hunter, and Nexa. Their price tags flip-flop so much just based on recent performance. Right. So I just if you're always picking, it's just easy. Yuri, even if you think KS Serrato was a little bit better than Yuri, Yuri just at the price tag just makes more sense. You can get both of them in, obviously, but usually when I'm dealing with that perspective, I try to just get at least the 2 cheapest if I think they're all projecting really close.
I agree.
100 Thieves. Well, JKS, I don't know. His price tag will just never be above 72, 7,500, even if they're a favorite. But they are not favored here. But I still do really like his price tag and his potential here at this tag. What are your thoughts on 100 Thieves?
Yeah, I like JKS. Again, he was, the only positive player. I think it was their last 7 maps, I believe. Yeah, he had a plus 20 KD differential, 1.14 KD, and a 1.08 rating. Led the team in that regard against Furia over their last, I think, 7 maps. 5 maps, sorry. Last 5 maps they played. Plus 20 KD div's pretty good. JKS showed flashes. He's got the upside. I thought it was pretty interesting that Jacob actually was grading out really well for the 2 maps that I feel like I projected they'll play on. So I think him at 6.4 is excellent value. To be flat out honest, both projected maps that I thought of for this match, 100 Thieves, every single one of their player options pretty much sat over a 1.01 rating. So I like 100 Thieves quite a bit. I know Furia will likely end up being a little bit chalky with them being the favorite and their prices being quite a bit lower. I think that a lot of people are probably going to go Navi and Furia or FaZe and Furia. I think Furia will be that chalk pivot for that other side of that stack. So I think 100 Thieves is probably going to have quite a bit of leverage on the slate as well for GPPs. And I like a lot of their players. I like Jacob. I like JKS. Gratisfaction has kind of been down a little bit here over the last few maps, but he, has the upside whenever he's on. And Liaz and Azar are even decent options.
Yeah, and this is one that I'm like excited actually for the showdown slate on, because then I don't have to feel like I have to take a side. Like I can probably play, or I play 3 Furia and 1 and play JKS, or play Jakim and JKS and then the top 2 Furia.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think Jakim's just not getting the respect on the price tag, and I think like overall they just, again, it's more based on the odds that they just like say like, okay, the most expensive player can't be over 7,500 because they're, a Furia is a minus 175 favorite.
Dog, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think obviously we just haven't seen that situation where 100 Thieves has been favored by that much to even be priced appropriately. But they have played so well online, and I know when they brought in that new coach, kind of changed some of their map picks up too, that they were being able to play better at. But yeah, I think they're going to be a great leverage GPP play, because I think Furia will be popular.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at for today. I think, like Sean said, he likes Mad Lions, likes Furia. Likes 100 Thieves, and likes NIP. So I think you might be away from the chalk for sure, which that's what I always like bringing you on here, because you're able to balance me out a little bit when I'm pretty cash heavy. So
got to fade the chalk sometimes.
Yeah, I know, and I know we'll hear about it on Twitter when the chalk hits the chalkboard and it goes all over, and you're just like, God.
Gotta vent a little bit sometimes, let all the chalk donkeys know that they're getting lucky, go get a lottery.
That's funny. Yeah, awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Sean, again at Fantasy Alarm and Fantasy Degens. Check out his article is already posted. So he will have some great, he does a great job at analyzing like individual players on map picks that you're predicting, which I think is, like I said, always a different perspective and layer that other people might not be getting to. So I really appreciate that insight. It helps me with my builds as well. So thanks a lot again, Sean.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.